Rather than an interview, I want you to communicate to the people in Japan, specifically who you are, what you're doing, what you've experienced, and where you're going.
Okay, my name is Gunnar. I'm a theatre director in Iceland, and I have for the past 4 years been involved in what you call activities like protest and civic forum meetings here in Iceland. It started up in the late 2008 with the collapse of all the 3 major banks in Iceland and the crisis of Icelandic society who actually happened there. And I'm the founder of what we call a civic forum meetings that were held here. We had in the years 2008 till 2010 16 civic forum meetings that were more or less about trying to get some information from the government, from the media, from all kinds of different people to tell us a little bit about what was going on in the world regarding our crisis. Because we came in one instant from being a nation of very rich people and very good and intellect people into becoming a little bit of a hated nation in Europe regarding that all our banks went bankrupt and we owed a lot of money suddenly. So we didn't know actually what was going on. So I founded these meetings to try to get some answers and as everybody knows, both in Japan and Iceland and all over the world, that the media is not correctly telling you what you need to know. They're just telling what they want you to know. So we was, by doing those meetings, trying to cut out the middleman and get direct answers from our authorities. Yeah, we got the government to come up in one meeting that we had in the autumn 2008. We had the biggest theatre in Iceland and it was national broadcasted all over Iceland by the national television station in Iceland. We got the Prime Minister there and all his ministers to come up. Most of the MPs came and about 2,000 people came into the auditorium in the theatre. And a lot of them had to be outside because we only could seat it about 1,500. So, and then we had about 1,000 more outside, so it was quite a success in that way. Then I was a part of a group of people that founded a new political party here in Iceland that got 4 members elected to the parliament.
What was the name of the political party?
It's called the Civic Movement Party. But that was a mistake actually. It's not the way to change things, is to try to get new parliamentary into parliament. I think we need to re-educate our people, and we need to re-educate the people who are inside the parliament instead of trying to get some new ones in there, because more or less the new ones will just become exactly like the old ones as soon as they walk in. And this system is based on that idea that when you get elected to a parliament or when you get elected to whatever you need to do, you become part of the system. So if we are going to do something, we need to do it differently. We need to make some kind of a civic movement that can build up on the idea of re-educating our political people and ask them to do what they are there for, to do, work for the public. Not just the banks or the money makers or the companies, but work for the people. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, and then they can turn into the companies and the banksters and all those things. And we need to find ways to make them understand that. And the only way we can do that is to try to get them to understand that they are there because we voted for them, and we can vote them out also.
So you've done a film which clearly shows how you chased the money and how you found some very unforgettable truths about what really happened here. You backed it up with a lot of good data, solid data, so it's not a conspiracy theory at all. It's true. You broke a lot of myths that people in the West especially now think that Iceland's a great success story and you actually got the bad guys out and everything's going to be fantastic, but it's not fantastic at all. You seem to be going just back to where you came out of, and doesn't matter who you put in to that parliament building, it's going to end up the same. That's your main point. So what you're doing about it is you are continuing to campaign as an individual. You're using your film, you've been to many countries, to bring awareness to other people, but you've also now just started a new initiative specifically focused in Europe. Tell us about that.
My initiative in Europe is to go and visit a lot of these grassroots movements and groups that are actually coming up now, both in Spain, Portugal, Greece, Ireland, UK, and even in Belgium, even in the headquarters of the EU nation.
Brilliant.
And those groups are aimed to try to find ways to do things differently, because this is not about politics. It's not about the politicians or what they can do and what they can't do. It's about, if we are going to change something in the world, we need to change the financial institutions and the way we think about economics. And economics today has become like a religion. If you're a right-wing man, you have a right-wing economist. And if you're a left-wing man, you have a left-wing economist. So, excuse me, is this a theory or is it something else? I don't know. But the way to change this is not to shout and scream and demand that the people go to jail or something like that. We need to re-educate our politicians. We need to re-educate the people that are working for us, because they are not stopping those guys in what they are doing. And if we would have, if the political and the financial regulators in Iceland would have done their job in the early 2008, we would have, not go as badly out of this as we did. And if it would be like that all over the world, that laws and order are for all of us to follow, not just the people who don't have the money, but for everybody to follow. And that's what I'm trying to do in Europe. I'm trying to gather people together in one civic forum movement, that we can actually have some influence, because what politicians and what the people need to understand is that we are the people with the power. We are the people with the votes. We are the people who can, we should be able to, if we can vote people into parliamentary, we should be able to vote them out. So sometimes we have to change laws. Sometimes we have to change ways of how we think. And more or less, that's what we are trying to do. So what we need to do is to find ways to do that, and we need to find ways to re-educate these people and get them to understand that we need them to work for us, more or less.
What's the next step for you?
Well, everybody says when things like political debates and political disasters come on, and like Icelandic crisis and the European crisis that is going on now, and that people in Japan, they have been facing a lot of devastating things for the last years, like earthquakes. They've been facing nuclear disasters and all that, and they start thinking, what can I do? I'm just a one person. But my name is Gunnar, and I'm just a one person. Before the year 2008, I never got involved in anything. I never got involved in political things or anything like that. I just, I was just doing my jobs, paying my taxes, and trying to live in this country. But I just got fed up with this system, and I decided to do something. I've made a film about this situation, the crisis in Iceland. I founded a thing called Civic Forum Movements. I founded a thing called Civic Movement Party that got 4 members elected to the parliament. I have been to about 15 countries talking to people about these things. I've been involved in talking to the head of IMF, the International Monetary Fund, directly. I've been talking to a lot of politicians, prime ministers, all kinds of MPs, both in England, Portugal, Spain, and I'm just a one person.
What's your message for the Japanese who are awakening to the fact that they actually have to stand up and be counted?
Information. You need to get information. The biggest and the best thing the best way to fight unjustment is information. And don't forget that we have laws, and laws are meant to keep you safe, to keep you okay in your home, in your country. They are meant to make your life easier. and that's why they are made. And just what we need to do is to find ways, both through the law and to fight the system within the system. There is no reason to shout or burn things down or whatever, unless you don't have any other ways to do it. But more or less, if you use information, if you use the idea of that you know what you're talking about, and you come to meetings, you meet up with the politicians, you meet up with people from the banks, the financial institutions, and all over the world, and they realize that you know how to calculate, that you know how to think, and that you know how to go around and say, excuse me, this is not what you are talking about, or it's like that, and it's not like that, as you say. You're on the winning team. So information, education and information is the key.
Yeah, having information allows you to ask the right questions. And this whole interest in Iceland came to me through the film Inside Job. And the director of that film was very good at doing one thing, and that was putting the interviewee on the spot.
Yeah.
He asked some brilliant questions, and you could see in their face immediately that they were now stuck. They had no slick way of getting out of this question because it was a good question.
That's also what I'm saying about what you need to do, is that if you need to get your information, try to cut out the middlemen. In most cases, which are the media, the television, and the reporters, they are not doing their jobs. Ask them also to do their jobs. Go and say, okay, excuse me, I'm not going to watch you if you don't do your jobs. Turn off the television when they are bullshitting. Just get them to realize that if they don't do their jobs, you won't watch their television station. And that's not what they need today, because they live on advertising. If they can't advertise, if they can't get through to you. In the end, if we can organize ourselves, because we need to be very well organized if we're going to fight this, because we are fighting a very, very well organized system that's going to fight back, and it's going to push back, because we have a huge things at stake. It's about who's going to get the money and who's going to be the richest of the richest and everything like that. So we need to get people to understand that we have this power. We can vote people out of parliament. We can turn our television station off. We can turn our radio station off. We can stop reading newspapers that are just bullshitting all the time. We have that power, but we need to unite, and we need to organize to make those things happen. And that's the best way to do that, is to get information first, then organize, and then discuss about these things and talk about them among each other, and find ways to connect to all kinds of groups all over the world. And then we have to make some changes after that. But then we have to realize what we want in life. The first thing, when you head up for a mission, you have to realize what you want. And my view is that I need this system to be changed. I need this, the fundamental ideas about how economics works today. It's wrong, because it's making very few people very rich on the cost of very many. And if you look at the country as America, 95% of all the wealth in America belongs to 3% of the people in America. That's ridiculous. And why is that? Because the 95% of the people in America, they are hoping that they become one of these 3%. So we have the power. And it's ridiculous to look at people people and idolize people who are just like actors and stuff, because if you look at the history of America, the first movie stars in America, like the old ones like Humphrey Bogart, Betty Davis, all these people, they paid 60% income tax, but still they could live the jet life. Today they don't pay taxes. And today every company in the world, whether it's in Iceland, Europe, America, Japan, their main object is not to pay taxes. That's ridiculous. Who's going to pay the taxes then? Just the middle class or the working class? And don't forget that the middle class and the working class are the people who rules the world, if they just want to take the advantage of doing it. If they want to take the matters into their own hand, they can run this thing. And it's ridiculous that if you look at the way the system is based, we have companies that are teaching multi-million-dollar industry not to pay taxes, to avoid paying taxes. Those people. There are companies that are in Japan. They are registered in some kind of offshore islands and all that stuff, but they are to avoid paying taxes. But they are still using the same roads, the same bridges, the same institutions, the same government thing that you are using, and you are paying your taxes. So why shouldn't they?
Exactly.
And it's ridiculous to say that you have to pay, let's say like it is in Iceland, you have to pay about 38% of your income income as an employed man for a tax, but the companies only have to pay 10 or 18%. Why?
Why?
Because we need the companies. Don't forget one thing. Companies need people. They can't thrive without people. And it's the other way around also. We need them to live. So we gotta find better balance than this. That's just my message. If your message is, if you want to do something, just do it.
Just do it.
And ask why.
And ask why.
Yeah, ask why.
Thank
Okay.
you, Gunnar.